Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad. I'm Austin.
And I'm Patrick.
And today we're talking to you guys about the USMNT game versus Trinidad that's coming up here at the end of January. And Pat, before we get into that, I guess we should talk about the camp and how it was, a slightly different composition than previous January camps.
Yeah, that's right, Austin. It certainly is different. Obviously, you have some of the senior team players here. Only a few. A little more to make up the 11 that you need on the field. But you do have also, it's unique with the U23s. Having the camp there and bringing some players on from the U23s to this, upcoming game against Trinidad and Tobago. So, there are some familiar faces, that we haven't seen in a while as well.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's something that I think helped the group totally. I think it's good to get more younger guys involved and invested with Greg and his staff. And, it's a big year coming up. We got the Olympics. We hopefully got the Gold Cup as well, and also World Cup qualifying. So, a lot of games to be played, a lot of players that will be, putting on the USMNT shirt in some capacity this year. So, yeah, it's cool to see them all together. And I guess with that, Pat, we'll get right into the whole reason for this episode. And that's, we're here today to give you guys the 3 things that we want you to watch out for in this game. So, Pat, do you want to take it away for thing number 1?
Yeah, absolutely, Austin. I'll take it away. And our first takeaway here is, a pair of Orlando City players we're really hoping to see in this upcoming game. And we're going to start with the big man up top, Austin. And that's none other than Daryl DK. I'm sure we're all familiar with now. Daryl, again, was kind of robbed, for that prior camp, Austin, where he had to pull out with injury. Really excited for that. But, fingers crossed. I really hope, all you guys are knocking on some wood and I didn't just jinx the whole thing. But, we're hoping, he's in this upcoming game and has a huge impact because, Austin, he offers so much with his size, strength and mobility and just how well he moves and how versatile he is, putting up a few assists there and, a high amount of goals, for a solid but wacky, MLS season here, with COVID and everything going on. He really looks like the prize of that, that draft in the past. And, I'm just really excited for his U.S. national team future and just to kind of kickstart it here, Austin.
Yeah, it really was unfortunate last camp that he had to pull out. But yeah, like you said, Pat, he's someone that's really in the plans for the USMNT. I think when you look at our striking prospects, he's, right behind Josh Sargent, maybe Sebastian Soto, if you rate him as highly as some other other people do. But there's a lot to like with him. He's got so many different qualities. And, there was an interesting slant you had to this camp as well, Pat, with Josie Altidore being there. Maybe as like a mentor in this camp.
Yeah, kind of interesting just to think about. Altidore and him are pretty similar styles there, and Altidore has had just a plethora of experience now at this point. And yeah, it's interesting. I know maybe not a fan favorite take here, but I think what I would really like to see DK start. But what I think could happen is just with Altidore's veteran presence and experience here. He might get the nod. I really don't know what's going to happen, honestly, with that spot there. I haven't seen Altidore in so long, but that's just kind of my take. What are your thoughts, Austin?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We're all kind of in the same mindset. I feel like now with Josie that he's got to stay healthy first off. He's got to be invested. I think that's the thing that it sucks to say, but it just seems like at times he's in 2 minds whenever he's playing for the national team or even his club team, to be completely honest. So I think if he can finally just kind of refocus this year, like I said, it's a big year for us, and he could play a really big part in it. But definitely getting DK on the field, I think, in this game would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, he just has so much to offer in terms of the goal output, and I wouldn't be surprised if he puts one in the back of the net. Especially against some of these CONCACAF opponents here where we need to qualify, Austin, going on the road in those hostile environments and having the strength to fend off some of those tackles, as well as, again, his versatility and being involved in the attack and getting other players involved. I think it's just too good to be true there.
Right. And we also, I guess, we've spent a lot of time on DK. Let's go over to his Orlando City teammate as well, Andres Perea. So that's a player that just got his call up with the USMNT last December as well, and he recently played for Colombia. I guess all throughout his youth, but was born in America, born in Tampa. Shout out Pat. That's your
Yeah, that's right.
that's your stomping grounds, and just recently switched to play for the USMNT. Followed that one-time switch with FIFA. And I think Pat, in this game, you're going to see him get that debut. He's a really interesting player. He's someone who plays, as a central defensive midfielder, but can also get forward. I think he's someone that really thrives, in defense, though, and he really loves, getting stuck in, putting in tackles, pretty scrappy. And I'm just really excited to see kind of what he can bring to the USMNT. Because, right now, when you think of center defensive mid, we've got Tyler Adams in my mind, who's the out and out starter. You have Jackson Mule, who's more of a possession player, but it really looks like Andres is more of that scrappy defensive minded CDM.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because again, just back to the point, we definitely need those type of CDMs and just those types of midfielders where you're able to put in a hard shift, and when the game gets kind of chaotic, especially with that long path to the World Cup, you're going to need somebody getting stuck in, not afraid of some challenges. Hopefully the refs will, not give him too many yellows here, but I still think just the skill set he brings is really important, and I'm excited to see how he matches up against the Trinidad team. Yeah,
and this year we have the Olympics as well, so I think he should be a big part of that cycle. You also have Johnny Cardoso, who's a similar age as him as well, and I think really both of those players could be that number 6 for that Olympic team. And provide something different for each of them. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see him in this camp and hopefully get him his debut because, he put a lot of trust in us making that one-time switch. So I want to see Greg, reward his decision. And, Pat, I think with that, we're going to go to our second thing to watch, and that is, if Matt Turner can finally get his USMNT debut. So he's a name that's been around for a little time now, but obviously with the pandemic and things like that, we haven't really gotten a chance to see him with the USMNT yet. But it looks like that's going to change on Sunday because he's the only veteran goalkeeper on this roster, and I think that solely puts him in the position to start this game. And there's a good competition I think going right now. When you look at keepers in MLS and then American keepers abroad. And you obviously have Zach Steffen, who's kind of been that goalkeeper for us. But Matt Turner's really doing, a good job. Both are pretty much primarily shot stoppers. I think both have, a lot of work to do still with their feet. But it'll be really interesting, I think, to see if Matt Turner can give Zach Steffen a run for his money in this goalkeeper competition.
Yeah, Austin, and it's just healthy competition because, again, they are such incredible shot stoppers, and Turner's rise has been, pretty tremendous in terms of getting to this national team level. And even Berhalter pointed that out, I believe, in an interview recently, where he's just really upped his game in camp, and compared to the last time he was involved here, that he's just elevated on so many levels, and it really looks like he's just hit that prime spot in his career, and could really make a huge impact with the team.
Yeah, I think he's someone that's going to be around for a little while. Not a little while, but he's going to be, he's finally thrust himself onto the scene, I should say. And I just think he offers something a little bit different than Zach Steffen. But again, they're both, in the primes of their career. They're both in their mid-20s, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if you see Matt Turner make a move abroad sooner rather than later, just because I think, with what we talked about in our last episode, Jordan Morris making that move abroad, I really think the pressure's on these players to get into better environments, challenge themselves more. And I think, once you see that, it's going to be really interesting because I think Matt Turner could play for, a team in a top 5 league. I think he's that good of a prospect, that good of a goalkeeper. And hopefully, like I said, Pat, we get to see him make his debut here on Sunday.
Absolutely, Austin. And again, just going back to Turner's ability here quickly, touching on, some of this passing, which is kind of the interesting, slant or take here, where it's been a little bit criticized, just an area of improvement for Matt, and even Stefan for the most part here. He's obviously training with Pep Guardiola and Man City, improving on that. But we've seen just some of those problems with the U.S. keepers recently, playing out of the back and eliminating some of those errors. But regardless, Turner in the last year, I think his accuracy was about 57-58%. Passing there, but in terms of long distance, it significantly drops about 15 to 20 percentage points. Where over the season, again, take the statistics there with a grain of salt, but in terms of playing some of those longer, more accurate balls, targeting some of the forwards there and attackers, he needs to improve in that area a little bit, and especially just building out of the back, it can get again pretty chaotic and hectic when some of these teams are pressing. And against even like a Mexico per se, when they'll have some of those speedy attackers on you, you need to be able to distribute. So yeah, I think just kind of shifting gears here, Austin, onto our final point, things to just kind of keep your eye on. And it's a really exciting topic too, where some of these young fullbacks, hope to get their chance to perform and truly make an impact. And one to start off with is none other than Julian Araujo. One we really, both want to see on the pitch here. He was in the December camp and looked, pretty solid there in that game. And what we've seen, the rise with LA Galaxy, and just really playing well beyond his years, honestly, Austin, in terms of his off the pitch, his mentality and how he's able to just, really lock in games, as a professional athlete being so young. His being so dynamic on the field, his awareness, just really the epitome of that modern fullback we have in the game. And obviously he got some interest, I think, from Tottenham and other clubs. So it'll be kind of interesting to see, how he does here and how his future progresses.
Yeah, he's someone that I think's got a really good future, and he's also a dual mat as well. Mexico's looming right over him, so I think we just got to continue to get him game time. Again, with the Olympics coming up, I think that's a perfect tournament for him to take part in. And I think he's someone that it would be cool to see him get another appearance for the U.S. In this game. And to go to that second fullback we talked about, that would be George Bellow. So George is in this camp, and this is his first USMNT camp. So congrats to him. And he's someone else that took a step this year in his development. He got better defensively, and became more aware of his defensive positioning. He was able to get forward a lot more and actually provide some good service to the attack there at Atlanta United, which unfortunately wasn't better on the year. But I think he's someone that's just really poised to have a good 2021 and really put himself in the position, or set himself up for a move abroad, like we talked about in our one video about a month ago. So I think just getting his debut in this camp and in this game against Trinidad would really be a good stepping stone to kickstart his year.
I think so too, Austin. And what's important is he was almost had that tremendous burst onto the season, then kind of faded not into the background, and not necessarily his fault here, just grinding in a young player. But I think he just has for himself a lot to prove and say, hey, don't forget about me. I made it here. I'm on the rise. He kind of had that little bit of a transition in the last few years. So I think, Austin, it's perfect what you mentioned to kind of kickstart his 2021 and really make an impact and a difference with his country. And those his role specifically. And those positions, we're getting a lot of talent there. So he's got to, step up his game and take it to the next level.
Yeah. And we've, like you said, Pat, there's so much talent at the moment. You got Brian Reynolds, which, it sounds like now he's finally going to Roma for $7 or $8 million. Yeah, Reggie Cannon, who just made a move. Serginho Dest, who, is now a $20 million rated player. So, yeah, he's got a lot of competition, and we just hope that kind of boosts him or motivates him to take his game to the next level. And I think he's got a great future. So just want to see more of him. And I think with that, Pat, we'll just give our predictions real quick before I leave you guys. So I'm going to go first, Pat, and I think that the USMNT is going to win 4-0 against Trinidad. I think it's going to be a fun night. We're going to see, some more debuts, which has been the theme recently. And, it'll end well and start the season strong.
I think that's a pretty fair prediction. I've been kind of wavering here. I'm going to say a little bit safer and say 2-0 U.S. against Trinidad. I still think they'll be able to keep the clean sheet there, but I think Daryl DK is going to score a debut goal here. So that's my solid take there in prediction. I think he's going to score late in the second half there.
Well, there you go. Okay, I like that. Yeah. So with that, guys, I guess there's only, I guess we should wrap this up, Pat, and that is, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel down below.
And, as we get closer to the friendly here, make sure to check out Instagram, Twitter. We'll be posting content for you guys. Get hyped and excited, to beat Trinidad and continue to beat them after what they did to us.
Yeah, for many more years. The one, what was it, in the Gold Cup when we played them and beat them pretty well. It wasn't enough. We need
right. It'll never be enough.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I guess with that being said, guys, this game leads up to one thing, and that one thing's not too far away, and that is we will one day win the World Cup.